Hey everybody, welcome back to the Senators News and Rumors. I'm Jacob Billington, joined with Dayton Reimer. How you doing, Dayton?
Doing pretty good. Saturdays are always nice, so I don't know when this is going to come out, but yeah, we're recording on Saturday. It's always a good time.
Yeah, I think we'll have this out this afternoon. There's so much going on in the world of the Ottawa Senators right now,
Oh
and
goodness.
I really thought we were moved past this kind of phase of Senators hockey, but I guess not. Here it is. It's not just. It doesn't have to do with just ownership. Apparently, it's just a cursed city, cursed franchise. This stuff seems to happen to Ottawa more than anybody else. So, um, just to be clear, we're not going to get into the exact rumor. We're not going to get into anything that's going on with Linus Ullmark in terms of the actual situation. What we're going to start with today is talking about the release, the statement released by the team. So, for those that missed it, our organization was completely disappointed to read the completely fabricated and false stories that are spreading around social media for our hockey club. Linus is away from our team for personal reasons, and he has the entire organization's support. We ask that people respect his privacy, but clearly that request was not heard by the lowest forms of trolls and sick people who scour the internet. That's the line that I really want to look at: is the sick people and trolls who scour the internet. Do you think that the kind of language used in this statement was what should have been used? He goes on to say, "We're disgusted that outside forces are attempting to disrupt our hockey club." That's another line that I want to come to later. And that the statement will put an end to the ridiculous speculation that has spread online. So, what are your thoughts on the language of that before we even get to the posting of it?
I think the language was a bit much. Referring to people as trolls, outside forces, it felt very. I know it's not straw manning, but it felt like that. Like it's, oh, these people are picking on us and we have to respond. That's the language that was used. I don't think that was the intention. I don't think the players felt that was the intention, based on a lot of the, you know, replies that have happened now in some media scrums. But no, I thought the language it could have been worded better.
Yeah, I think I am in the same boat as you. I think just using the word trolls and sick people is the only part that I don't love. But again,
Senators fans used to be called sickos.
well, that's true. The sickos, yeah. Um, but like looking at what it is, I think what it was Steve Stais just heat of the moment. I got to get something out right now. Not sure how much PR this went through, but I've seen a lot of arguments saying that this shouldn't have been posted at all. I would like to know where you stand on that. We haven't talked about this at all before the show. So where do you stand on the posting of this statement?
I think they maybe could have taken some time to release a better worded statement. I think the rush made it a bit unnecessary. The way that it was worded came out as very reactionary, and I think that will cause more problems than if they had maybe taken a little bit of time and had a very concisely worded news release. I think something should have been said, because this was getting a lot of steam, but it had not gathered a ton of steam yet. I'd seen the original statement, or not statement, but rumor, that was circling around, and for everyone believing it, I believe there was about 2 that were saying like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like there's no truth behind it at all. And if you're believing it, you're kind of dumb. That was the general response I was seeing from the original rumor. So people weren't necessarily taking it seriously, but now that the reactionary statement has come out, people are taking it more seriously. Like, what is the issue that they are having to be so intense about? So I think in a weird way, it has unfortunately given validity to the rumor, even though nobody has confirmed anything. In fact, they've gone out of their way to deny it. And I fully believe that it is complete and utter crap. It's like, this is stupid. If you are believing this, like someone was like, yeah, we did say that the language was bad. They were a troll. That is what they were doing.
Language was correct. Maybe they shouldn't have used it, but it was correct.
Exactly, it was correct. It was just you should have worded it better. So I think releasing a statement at this time felt very reactionary, and thus I think it's going to cause a lot more problems, like I've said. And so, yeah, now people are going to talk about it, right? Everyone's going to talk about what was said. Is there any validity to this rumor? It's like, no, not there. Obviously is not, but now they have to deal with it because the Senators have said there's nothing to deal with.
See, so the frame of reference that I have for this, like the way that I look at this, do you think that with the way that social media works now, that if they didn't post that, then people would have just moved on from that? Like, I will agree that it all stems from that one tweet and one anonymous tweet from an account made hours before or days before or whatever it was. I don't think that the Senators posting the statement has anything to do with how big of reaction this got on the internet. Like, I'm looking at the tweet right now, and it does have 5 million views. That's a lot of views. That is, like, it brought a lot of attention to the situation. Those 5 million views are probably people that also saw the rumors coming from somewhere else, whether it be somebody sharing it and saying this is ridiculous, or somebody sharing it saying, oh, I 100% believe this, or whatever. They would have seen the rumor anyway. I don't buy into the fact that people would look at the statement and would never have seen the rumor otherwise. I don't think it brought any unnecessary attention to it. I don't know. I think people were going to see it anyway. The argument that some people are making is that it hadn't blown up yet. It was only a couple people saying things before they posted it. The only reason that that's the case is because they posted it so quickly to squash the rumor. And we saw today, like Tim Stützle had publicly thanked Steve Stais for posting the statement. Other players completely backed Linus Ullmark. Now, are players going to do that anyway? I think so. Like, that's just kind of a PR move, regardless. But the emotion that Brady Tkachuk showed in particular, saying that this is, and sorry for any underage listeners, but he called it fucking bullshit. And that's exactly what this is. The Senators squashed that rumor. People are looking at it and saying that this brings some sort of validity to it. I completely disagree. I think that this is them getting in front of it before it blows up. If they had left it, and a lot of people are drawing comparisons to the Corey Perry, Connor Bedard situation. If they just left it, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going and going and going. And eventually somebody's going to ask a silly question during a media scrum and ask a player directly before anybody has a chance to address anything. And it's just going to keep getting bigger. So I think that this shut it down. I think more attention was drawn to it, but nobody believes it anymore. That's my thought.
And that's fair. And social media is such a weird organism, I guess we could call it. Sometimes something that you assume is going to blow up gets nowhere. And some things that, it's like, oh, this is a nothing thing, all of a sudden gets massive traction. So it's almost impossible to say whether this would have gotten huge or not without the Senators quashing it as quickly as they did. I just think that because they quashed it as quickly as they did, and I'm going to use quash in, quotation marks. Now the media is going to ask all the players about this, right? If they had not released a statement, I don't believe that a scrum would have focused anything on that tweet because, like you said, it had been created hours before. And if you have seen the tweet, again, we're not going to, talk too much about it here, but I did discover that it was featuring a profile picture from a guy who had passed away in 2016, including the name. Like, clearly a made up account just to make up stuff. I don't know. It's weird.
He was one of the surveyors on Oak Island. That's who that guy was. Yeah.
It's so easy. Just one Google search, right? And I think most media members would have been like, oh, we should maybe double check this, this tweet here, especially a lot of the ones connected to the NHL. They would have seen that, double checked it, seen it. It's completely invalid and not a source worth mentioning, and then moved on. Someone would have asked about it. And I think Brady would have given a similar response, because it is. That's exactly what it is. But because of that statement, it's kind of given them a green light to talk about it. And
For sure. I mean, without the statement, we're not sitting here talking about it,
Exactly.
especially like under the branding of the Hockey Writers or whatever outlet that anybody's looking at. Nobody's going to talk about it in a professional sense without that statement. I do agree with that. But I think the way that we are talking about it is very different than the way that people would be talking about it online, which there's no limitations to the posts on X that people make.
No. And not to sound too cynical, but people would have talked about it anyways. And that's how they talk about those things. And whether they said anything or not, the conversation would have remained the same. Now it's something that the players have to deal with. And sure, they would have seen it probably before, and they would have probably had to deal with it before. But if they it could have been an internal matter, and just been like, listen, we're going to put out a statement. We're just going to we're not going to draw too much attention to it because, of course, it's dumb, and kind of handled it internally. And if anyone asks about it, just tell them we're not talking about this. This is stupid. I think that could have been a better way to handle it. In my opinion, the statement needed time, and put it out next week or something like that. I don't know. After it, you can take some time to think about it and make sure that it's not going to be an issue. Or if it is, then you deal with it. Getting ahead of it, I think, at least at this situation, was good for the players. The players respected it. Like you said, Stützle, he thanked Staios for putting this out. That's a team that has each other's back. That's great. I like to see that. All fans should like to see that. I don't know. I think it could have been handled differently. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the last point that I want to make on the rumor part of it is we don't know what's going on with Linus Ullmark. There's been I had a few tweets over the last few days that we don't know what's going on with him. He's been open about being kind of in touch with his mental health and whatnot. Don't know if it's that. Don't know if there's somebody in the family that's sick. We have no idea. And so all the speculation does nothing but hurt. And it's just a lack of respect for Linus and his personal life. And that leads into Elliotte Friedman's comments. So on 32 Thoughts, and I'm looking at the post on from Sportsnet's account right now, and it says, if I'm a player on the Senators and I'm named there, I am saying, get me out of here. So there were 3 or 4 names that were listed on in that rumor to be involved. And Elliotte Friedman basically said that if an account pops up like that and makes those kind of accusations and a player is named in there, he's going to go ask for a trade. And I think that that's a ridiculous and irresponsible overreaction. I think let's say, I'm going to think back to the Boston-Montreal series. What's stopping Zdeno Chara from making a burner account and saying, oh, listen to this about Brendan Gallagher or something like that? If we're going to take it that far, anybody can do anything to be an outside force to disrupt the franchise. That's kind of the wording that was used. I think that that's irresponsible. I don't know if he's going to add some clarity. Saturday headlines, that'll be tonight. Another 32 Thoughts episode on Monday morning. I have no idea, but I really didn't like those comments, and I have a ton of respect for Elliotte Friedman. He's one of the best reporters in all of sports. What were your thoughts on his comments?
We may disagree on the way that the statement was released. I fully agree with you on Friedman's comments. Those are stupid. I don't that seems like a massive overreaction for something that is gaining traction online, and it has no valid backing as far as we know. Just to cover myself, I guess. like you said, we don't know. We don't know what's going on with Linus. I'm 100% giving him the benefit of the doubt. He has struggled with mental health issues. He has been very open about that. I think it was on that Colby Armstrong couch segment that I don't remember the name of. he talked about that very openly, and he's talked about that in previous things. And so I wrote an article about it. Like the start of this season, it seemed to be tough for him. He wasn't performing as he expected, and he went into the scrums being like, "This is on me. I'm so sorry. I just can't figure it out." And I felt so bad for him. Like, you should not be taking this all on yourself. We've seen so many goalies go through the Senators and have the exact same issues because for some reason the Senators can't buy a goalie. I don't know what's going on because everyone they trade out does better. Like, why is Anton Forsberg having a better season than Linus Ullmark this year? That's not possible, right?
Are you surprised at all, though?
No, I'm not.
Not a bit, and that's the sad part.
Yeah. So he shouldn't have been hurt on that hard. He shouldn't have been as hard on himself as he was, but that's also something he struggles with.
And it's also, we have no idea if that has anything to do with what's going on now.
That's true.
Like,
100%.
Sure, that like 1 + 1 = 2 most of the time, but like we have no idea. There could be his grandmother in Sweden is sick, or his,
we have no idea.
No idea.
And I wasn't trying to like make it think like make some sort of connection that hasn't been confirmed by anybody. Yeah. It's just we have seen struggles in the past, and so if something is troubling him, maybe he is taking it harder than other people would because of his previous disposition. I don't think that would then lead players to leave based on a reaction to that kind of situation. They would be the ones who know Linus the best, right? So they would want to, and they've stayed behind him. We haven't heard any rumors other than the stupid Tkachuk stuff, but that's just because his brother was traded, and it's following that. We've got no indications that he wants out. We've got no other indications that other players want out. It seems like it's a very tight-knit, brotherly community with this team. So I don't, it felt very speculative on Friedman's part, which doesn't seem very typical. It doesn't seem like Friedman speculates very much, so maybe we don't know what's going on behind the scenes even further. But no, I thought the comments were inflammatory. They were also unnecessary. I don't think anyone's thinking that.
Yeah, and like I said, he's going to have a couple opportunities in the next couple days to kind of walk it back. Maybe he misphrased himself, maybe whatever. But I did not like those comments. I like 99.9 of the things that Friedman says. I'm a huge fan of his, love his work, but that was just an irresponsible comment, I think. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where things go from here. But moving on to the on-ice goaltending, in the middle of an 8-2 shelling where we saw Miralainen and then Sogard and then Miralainen again, James Reimer was signed to an AHL PTO halfway through the second period as the Senators were down 8-1. Is James Reimer going to be the guy to come solve the problems? Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on bringing him in?
No, he's not going to be the one to come in and solve the problems. I think, like, if we need a title for the episode, it's timing, because none of this has been, in my opinion, good timing. To sign a guy in the middle of a blowout loss who hasn't played in the NHL for a while. Was it last season he was in the NHL? He
played for Buffalo and like 2 games in Anaheim last season. Yeah.
Yeah. So a very brief stint in the NHL last year. He's going to come in. He's going to need some conditioning. He is on the older side. And he has great numbers, or at least, to put it, conservatively, he's got good numbers for the eras that he's played in. I think I saw it was maybe a 910 career save percentage. Like that's good.
And he did play 22 games with Buffalo last year.
What's it, 22? That's more than I thought.
Yeah, and a 901 save percentage. He did fairly well, as he was like a rotating third string for them.
Yeah. He is, I think, a guy who can come in and play a game or two and be a good goalie, and that's where his career is at this point. He is not a starting goalie. And if you're relying on him to be a starting goalie, you are mistaken. So, like, why not wait until at least after the game to announce that you've signed the guy? Because now he's forever going to be tied to Ottawa and that loss. Timing is so important. And in my opinion, Staios did not show it over the last couple of days. He reacted, and that's not going to help anybody.
That's fair. And so that is very fair, though I will say the Senators didn't release the James Reimer news. Darren Dreger did. And that's not something that happens. Like, I'm sure there was more than just one phone call halfway through the second period. I'm sure it's been in the works for a little bit. It's no secret that Ottawa needed a goalie, but all the timing just fell. Like, James Reimer being signed in the middle of an 8-2 loss is the third most exciting thing from that night, or the third biggest thing. I wouldn't call it exciting, but point across. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind it. Like, I think it's fine. If he can, the Senators' struggle in net is the low danger and the medium danger chances. That's where they're struggling. They're letting in the goals that they shouldn't be letting in. James Reimer has been a good low danger and medium danger goaltender for his career. I think that he can come in and be fine. I think the Senators might actually play pretty well in front of him. His high danger chances have always been terrible. That's where he always lets the goals in. Ottawa doesn't let in many high danger opportunities. They've had really good team defense this year, despite what many people online will say. I really like the way the team has played. They just haven't gotten those low and medium danger chances saved. That's my thought, and I think that he might honestly work. He looked pretty good in the Spengler Cup. He played 2 games. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any more thoughts on Reimer?
I did talk a little bit about him in an article from October 31st, titled 3 Veteran Goalies the Senators Can Target to Back Up Ullmark. Because there was concern over a rookie backup goaltender with Merilainen. I'm a big fan of him, but he has shown to have some struggles. So get a veteran in there, be a third string, tandem. You can kind of rotate them in and out. I thought that was a good idea. And the top guy I thought about was James Reimer. I think he can be a very good addition to this team if he's used sparingly. With Ullmark out, I'm just a little bit more hesitant on what that's going to look like. I think Reimer might be forced into some situations that are going to be very tough for a 37, 38-year-old. But then that's also going to be really tough for a 23, 24-year-old in Merilainen and Sogard, and Shepard, I think, is 27, but also 2 games of NHL experience. It's a confusing goalie carousel, and I don't know when it stops or what happens when it does.
And I look at counterpoint to that. I look at James Reimer and I say, of all the people in Ottawa's system right now, I'd ask him to do that first. Go play those tough games. Go play 3 games in 4 nights. I don't know. I'm also a huge Merilainen fan. I was on board with him taking the backup role full-time this season. I was wrong. No problem saying that. Obviously, Steve Staios felt the same way. He was wrong. Merilainen wasn't ready for that job. He had a good flash in the pan last year. Sogard has played his last game in Ottawa. I don't think that's a secret. Jackson Parsons, you're not calling him up right now. Hunter Shepard, he's an AHL guy. They've got a lot of goalies. James Reimer is the only one that is capable of taking even close to a starting role in the NHL right now. That's true. Honestly, at this point, the only one that should be playing NHL games.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to disagree, but I can't find a reason to.
I know. Like, Merilainen in a perfect world is playing full-time backup. He's shown this season that he can't do that. He needs to be the starter in the AHL for maybe another season. I don't think he's waiver exempt next year, so then it's a difficult decision to make. But like Mad Sogard, I mean, he let in 5 goals on 16 shots in the middle of a blowout, and he was sent down after practice today, which I thought was weird. And Hunter Shepard was recalled.
Weird timing.
Weird timing. I don't think Matt Sogard plays another game for Ottawa. That's just my guess. I don't know anything.
No, I think that the trajectory for that has been pretty evident over the last year or two. The injuries have really set him back, and he hasn't been solid when he's come back into the AHL. There's been moments that he's looked like that guy they picked early in the second round for 2019, I think.
Yeah.
6'8" goalie who has international experience, did really well in the World Juniors at times. He has not been there, and I don't know if he gets. I think it's been an unfortunate career for the guy, and as someone who's cheered for the Medicine Hat Tigers a lot over my years, it's unfortunate to see him go that way. But unless a miracle happens, he's probably just destined for a minor league role or a role in Europe, because I don't know if an NHL team will give him a chance after this.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I want nothing more than to see him succeed. I just think, and even when he turned pro, when he started in the AHL, he finished the season I think it was 7-0-0. I don't have his stats up right now. He was unbelievable to finish out his first pro season, and then it just didn't stick. And you even go back to kind of the 2020, 2021, you look at the top goaltender prospects, he's in that conversation. He was good and he's big, but he looks so small in the net and he lets in so many goals. And you can't be a goalie if you're letting in goals. So,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So looking at the next 5 weeks, we've got, I think, 9 Ottawa Senators heading to the Olympics. Well, what kind of shape are they in before we get there? Before we get to Milan, how do you feel about the team right now?
Full honesty, not great. This is a team that has this talent to perform and to be a playoff team, and they have not put it together this year. I looked at their defense core recently, and that has been maybe a little bit more impactful when one guy has been out, especially Shabbat. When he was out for that time, they really struggled, and I was kind of surprised to see that. So in my opinion, they just don't have defensive depth. They don't have anybody who can replace a guy who's out. And that's a problem.
I think another problem is they don't have the guys to replace the people that are in the lineup too. I don't think Nick Jensen should be playing every game.
No, probably not. Yeah.
I
don't mind him as a third pairing guy, but he can't be second pairing anymore.
No.
But who are you going to get to replace him? They don't have the money. It's kind of, you just kind of roll with it. And they've, at least as a unit, they have been solid when they've been together. All 6. And I've heard some issues about, Jordan Spence, how maybe he's not performing as they expected.
I've liked Spence. I know there's a lot of people that haven't. I've really liked him.
Yes, I think he's good. I think he needs better opportunities. Maybe put him on the second pairing. I think that would be better, but whatever. He's had some success with Clevin on the third. It's a decent defense core with Sanderson and Shabbat there, and Zub. Zub is excellent. When Tkachuk was out of the lineup, the team was better. That shouldn't be the reality.
No. And correlation does not equal causation. That's been my favorite thing to say over the last few months. Correlation and causation do not mean the same thing, but it is certainly worth noting.
Yeah. At least for me, when he got back, and I think they lost a few games, that was weird. I thought at least they would have been continuing their winning ways when he returned, and it didn't happen. I agree. Causation does not equal whatever you said. I forgot it already.
Correlation.
Thank you. But it's just not clicking. Something's not clicking, and it's going to take, I think, a lot of changes for that to happen, because this is the same issue we've been seeing for a decade. It's been different owners, different coaches, different players, different goalies,
different goalie coaches. That's one big conversation.
Exactly. and it's still getting you the same results. So what has to change? Are you stripping out everything and just replacing with different people? Like that's a huge commitment. Are you going to continue tweaking and trying to make a broken thing work? Because I think that's kind of where we're at, is like something is broken. So I was thinking this was a playoff team. I don't think that anymore. They're second last in the East, aren't they?
They are second last in the East, 2 points ahead of the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah,
but at this point last season, they had they're within like 2 points more or less of what they had at this point last season. And right now, they're only 2 points out of a playoff spot in the West. Now, I know that doesn't matter because they're not in the West, but they're not playing awful. The whole Eastern Conference has been like everybody's over 500 except Columbus is at 500 now. Everybody else is over 500. NHL 500, which isn't real, but like overall, looking at the whole season, the Senators haven't been that bad. They just haven't been as good as they need to be the playoff team.
Yeah. And I think that's the big issue, right?
Yeah.
They're
just not stepping up in the big moments.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been too many blowout losses to teams they can't lose to. Yeah. There's been too many issues with, like, I think you shared it on Twitter about how long it took for Tkachuk to get back into the defensive zone. Yeah. And I saw that and I was blown away. Like that's what I saw from JT Miller when he was just standing in the middle of the defensive zone, not doing anything.
Yep.
That's not okay. You can't be doing that in a high pressure moment, even if the game is lost. And that's so atypical of Tkachuk too. Isn't he like the heart and soul? Isn't he, hardest worker, always getting her done? Something is broken. I'm convinced of it. And it's going to be tough to change if they don't figure out what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, again, correlation does not equal causation, but the only two people that have been here since before 2020 are Tkachuk and Chabot. They need to be the guys on the team. Like we're looking, this team hasn't changed at all since as soon as their 2017 run ended, things haven't changed at all. Those are the two guys that have been here. I don't think it has anything to do with it, but it is worth noting. Like those are the guys that lead the way for this team. It was either Tkachuk or Chabot for captain. Like that was a serious debate at one point. And here we are. I think Tkachuk is a great captain. I just think he has so many doubters that he needs to prove it every single night that he's a good captain.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
So thank you for joining me, Dayton. We rambled on for long enough now. If you made it this far into the episode, make sure you leave a like and a comment and let us know your thoughts on kind of everything without being too speculative in the comments. And we will see you in the next episode. Thank you.